Hi friends, today we are going to discuss about the topic of signals and systems. First of all, we should know the definition of signals. What are signals? Friends, the simple definition of signal is the signals are defined as the function of one or more independent variables. That means the signal will call the term signal only if they are dependent on other independent variables. For example, friends, consider the example f of x1, x2, x3 of xn. Friends, here the function f is nothing but the signal, and x1, x2, x3 up to xn are nothing but independent variables. So this signal is totally dependent on these variables. See, if there is a See, the signal can only exist if there are independent variables present in it. Okay, this is the definition of signals. Friends, next you may have now naturally the question arises that how can we distinguish between the signal and that which is not a signal? See friends, the explanation is very simple. See, any quantity which are dependent on independent variables are nothing but signals. Common example is alternating current signal. See here the alternating current signal is example because the current is dependent on variable quantity, that is time. Next, we are going to discuss about the classification of signals. Friends, see, there are two types of classification of signals. They are nothing but single variable signal and other is multivariable signal. First, we will go through single variable signal. That is, if the signal is dependent on only one variable, it is known as single variable signal. That means here the signal is dependent on only one variable. For example, f of x, g of t. See here f of x, here f is nothing but signal and x is a variable, and this signal is dependent on this variable, so it is known as a signal. That means this equation describes what is a signal. And the other classification of signal is nothing but multivariable signal. If a signal is dependent on two or more variables, it is known as multivariable signal. Friends, if a signal is dependent on two or more variables, that means the signal is totally dependent on some variables, and if the number is more than two or more, then it is known as multivariable signal. Example for multivariable signal is nothing but f1 of x1, x2 and g of t1, t2, t3, where here f1 is nothing but the signal which is dependent on both the variables x1 and x2. And other example also we can take, that is g of t1, t2, t3, where this signal is dependent on three factors, that is t1, t2, t3. And these types of signals are nothing but multivariable signals. Friends, now you can ask, now the question arises, what is the definition of systems? We have learnt about the definition of signals. Now we are going to learn about the definition of systems. The meaningful interconnection of physical devices and components are called as systems. See, the simple, what is that, without these systems are useless without the incoming and outgoing of signals, because these systems works on the principle of the signals present by systems. The meaningful interconnection of physical devices and components are called as systems. That means there are meaningful interconnections of physical devices and components are called as systems. Okay friends, using simple block diagram, I am gonna say you the basic fundamental operation of a signal. See, consider a system. See what the function of the system is this much itself. That means they convert the input signal and the processes that input signals to the desired form, and they send out to a network of output signal. The rectangular shaped one figure is nothing but system, and the input signal is passed to the system where the processing of the signal happens to a desired form, and which is obtained through the output signal, and this is the function of the system. There are two major types of problems we are solving in the subject of signals. They are nothing but analysis problems and synthesis problems. See friends, the in analysis problem, the input signal will be given, give us the input signal, and they will give the system also, but we should find the output signal value. And of problems that we are solving in the concept of signals and system is the synthesis problems, where the input signal will be given and the output signal will also be given, and we should find the type of system. So these are the two types